Good afternoon, disc golf fans. It feels like we just spoke to you about 15, 20 minutes ago. Here we are again, Tournament Central Time, round number 3, moving day of the MVP Open at Maple Hill, presented by OTB Discs. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins. Nate, paint a picture of how it is shaping up today in regards to the conditions.
Well, I'll just tell a little anecdote from my perspective. You know, you and I are up in the ping pong room here above the garage right next to the house, and Jeff Spring is up here. Seth Muncy comes jogging up the stairs and asks Jeff if he will walk with him to hole 1 to make a decision of whether or not they should suspend play, not because of lightning, because of the potential unsafe conditions due to the high winds. Seth told me that if it's sustained over 30 miles per hour and if it's regularly gusting over 40 miles per hour, they're going to go back into the woods and take a peek to see if there's tree branches that are potential hazards out there. So they're actually on the course right now, and they're going to make a judgment call. It seems like the wind is going to die down just a bit, but this is one of the windiest days ever.
Well, we just saw it this morning for the FPO division. It felt like you couldn't even make a read on the wind whatsoever. We talk about wind so often throughout the year. This is, I guess you could say, the slope of our green if we compared it to traditional golf. I mean, this is the most important thing that we have to work with. And you see the tops of the trees blowing. You feel that it's maybe 30 miles an hour. And then sometimes when you're in certain parts of the course, you don't feel a single thing.
Yeah, I almost feel like every player should take a page out of Gannon Buhr's book and, you know, have that little chalk read that he has. That's genius, because you're right. It's so specific. Just because it's blowing up there doesn't mean that it's blowing the same low and out in the middle of the fairway. So really hard to make a read, and you know, speed is really going to come into play. And one of those guys who is throwing the fastest, throwing the flattest, Calvin Heimburg.
Well, we have to talk about Calvin Heimburg because it looked like for a second he was on pace to shoot a completely historic round out there on the course. Kind of a late fizzle, you could say. 16 and 18, he got bogeys on, but Nate, he was 10 under par through 12 holes. Yeah,
that putt there for birdie through the eagle, got up into circle 1 over there on the right side. That was his 5th consecutive birdie of the round, and here he is after the scramble for par on 7. Just throws another eagle, cruising into 20 feet left, goes on to birdie 8, and then, you know, less than 20% of the field is finding circle 1 in regulation on the uphill hole 10. It says 370, plays closer to 500, maybe even further when the wind is in your face. There he is on hole 11, hitting that gap through the Christmas trees over there on their right side of the fairway.
Nate, I have to ask you, we've talked about him having a potential mental block when it comes to closing out tournaments that feel like his tournament to win. Does he need to build a good cushion for himself today, or is today more of about survival?
I wonder if Calvin thinks on the big picture like that. I feel like his best golf is played when he seeds himself deep in the moment. I feel like when the moment gets too big it's because you're thinking about, what do you need to do to win? Do I need to have a cushion for tomorrow? I feel like when Calvin is playing his best is when he's thinking about what he's doing with the shoulders. Is he getting the shoulders up? Is he relaxed in the face? Like, is he focused on the chain link? Like, not the bigger picture things, and that's what separates the champions from the rest of the field who has all the skills.
Well, we watched him dominate on the putting green in the beginning part of the season, and then later it's not really been as stellar as before. With that said, we did talk to Calvin after his round yesterday. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I threw the disc really well today. 11 birdies, couple bogeys. I was giving myself a lot of looks, and yeah, anytime I get off to a hot start there on the front, like 7 or 8, like you're feeling pretty good. I feel like the first 7 can, like, you can be 2 over or you can be 5 down really easily. So getting through there really clean, getting a lot of birdies. I knew I was on track for a good round, continued it for the majority of the round, kind of finished with a couple speed bumps there on 16 and 18, but as a whole, really satisfied with the round, just short on a couple shots there at the end. I definitely heard that it's going to be windy. I haven't really looked at the forecast too much to know about the rain, but if it's windy and rainy, this course definitely plays, really hard, especially through that stretch we were just talking about early on. Disc getting blown around through the woods is a really tough game to play. So it's just going to be trying to keep your head on your shoulders and know bad breaks are going to happen. It's going to be tough to completely control everything out there tomorrow if that is the case.
Well, one stroke off of Calvin Heimburg is, 4 players, one of them being Ricky Wysocki. I talked to Ricky's caddy, Fern, who is always a wealth of knowledge and information and is always open to sharing what they're working on that particular week or how Ricky's feeling. I talked to Fern, and he said Ricky feels really good this week, and I see it. I see the focus in the way he's playing. I see the way the putter's coming out of his hand. Very similarly to Calvin, you almost know when the focus is there by the trajectory of the putter coming out of his hand. He looks really good from range right now. His circle 1 putting is okay. He's missed some, which is okay, I guess, when you look at the wind conditions as of yesterday and today. Something interesting, I talked to Fern about Ricky's disc selection and how Fern had been working with him to fill a couple of slots in his bag that he didn't have. He's now throwing an Explorer from Latitude 64, which apparently was a disc he wasn't throwing too often, even though it's so popular. He's now throwing that on 16. He threw a great drive with it on 16. I went up to Fern and kind of winked at him, and he winked back at me. Clearly a proud caddy moment being able to help a player out like Ricky Wysocki, but look at this drive on 14. Look at this putt up ahead. I mean, he was playing phenomenal, and he just shot 6 under par. That's showing you how tough it was to play out there yesterday.
And busting out the Raptor legs there on hole 15. And yeah, clearly Ricky's been one of the best putters over the last decade, but to me, Ricky has been the best situational putter because Ricky won't bring the same delivery to every putt. Like, he knows how to flatten his putt out in the wind, and some players are just at the mercy of the wind. They're just still going to try and put it in on hyzer. But you can see even that putt right there, Ricky was faced with a little bit of headwind right there next to the sap house and delivered it on kind of an Annie to flat line. So to me, Ricky's situational putting is going to give him a big advantage when you're faced with those gnarly winds on the back.
Well, Nate, he also has the spin putt. He has multiple angles with the spin putt. He can pop it nose up. He can pop it flat. He even flips it upside down sometimes and throws spin putts from the edge of the circle if it gets too windy. We've seen him do it multiple times in the past. And today, we very easily could see him do that. We did talk to Ricky Wysocki after his round. Let's also take a listen.
I'm getting myself a lot of birdie looks. I think that's super important. I didn't capitalize on all of them today, so there are definitely a lot of, strokes that I didn't pick up on today. But I'm just happy with myself getting the looks that I am. I'm getting off the tee really well, and I think when I do that, I score really well. So I like where I'm at, and I'm really confident right now that I have a chance to win this thing. Each hole's wind dependent. Sometimes if it's windy enough out there, pars are really good on some of the holes that are super windy and a lot of out of bounds. So I think course management's going to come into play coming down the stretch of the tournament. That's always super important. I think I'm really good at that, and I think that I know when to pick my spots and when to be aggressive, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Tied with Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, winner of yesterday's big CTP throw-off alongside Holland Handley. Eagle also in the hunt to win a big playoff event here, wrapping up this 2023 season. Nate, we've talked about this all week. Udis says he's the best player in the world right now. He says he likes the idea of that. He kind of looks that way as well. What is he going to have to do today to battle the conditions and actually overtake Calvin Heimburg, your leader?
Well, we heard him yesterday. He said that it's just himself. It's just him versus himself. Like, he's not really thinking about what his opponents are doing, and I think that mentality has taken him a long way in the past. Taking a look at that scorecard yesterday, just making a mistake that we really would never expect Eagle to make, burying that tee shot on 1 into the water, goes on to double bogey it. But how about the trick shot there on 4? The course is asking for a trick shot there. Eagle delivers with a short range grenade. Just how technical is that shot, Brian?
You know what? For Eagle, I don't think it's that technical. I actually think it's way easier than other shots he would have to throw there. He thins the profile of the disc. He knows the release point. Kevin Jones was also talking about how he's starting to hyzer flip the grenade. I mean, we're starting to see that shot evolve in front of our very eyes. We could see quite a few more players over the years open up the door on that shot as a utility. With that, we have to keep talking about Eagle. I mean, today's conditions are ridiculous, to say the least. 40-mile-an-hour gusts potentially getting into the mid-40s, Nate. Is having the speed really that helpful, or is it really just a guessing game for everybody?
Speed is a big part of it, but at a certain wind, it's more about the nose angle. Like, it doesn't matter how overstable your disc is or how fast you throw it if you're exposing the wing. Yesterday, that's exactly what we saw from Eagle. On hole 1, instead of a flat shot, he threw it on a little bit of ante, and it doesn't matter that the disc is coming out at 76 miles per hour. It still buried it into the water. So nose angle is really what I like to key on when the wind is above 25 miles per hour. We actually did get a chance to interview Eagle after his round, and let's take a listen now.
I'm very proud of my back nine today. I had a very rocky start, 6 on hole 1, and I felt like I threw a great shot out of my hand, but I just got one of the worst wind shears I could possibly imagine and found myself in the middle of the pond, which I can honestly say I've never done before. And just felt a little ruffled after that, but I knew that it's the first hole of the round and there's plenty of holes left. And I think on hole, was it 5 as well, or 4 or 5, missed a putt, got another bogey. So I was definitely at a deficit, but I knew today with the windy conditions that I just needed to fight back, get anything better than 2 or 3 under, and to finish 5, to finish with a turkey, definitely moved me up the leaderboard, and I can be proud of that.
Yeah, 16, 17, 18, probably the only player in the field to nab all 3. I mean, how big is that, or what does it take to do that?
I would say just hitting lines. You know, coming down the stretch on 16, you got to throw a really pure shot, and I've been feeling confident throwing that style, that distance, and then 17 and 18, I have a good game plan for them. So, of course, those birdies can elude you, but generally speaking, those are some of the holes I feel more confident on.
The word wind is definitely trending at Maple Hill right now. It's going to probably pick up even more tomorrow. Have you seen this place that windy, and what has that done to the game plan coming in?
I definitely recall a few rounds playing out here with some wind, and it definitely makes it very difficult on, especially the front 9, in my opinion, and of course some hole like 14 going over the water. But just like any course, wind is going to make inside the circle putting a lot more difficult and make you think twice about every shot you're throwing.
All right, 2 rounds to go. What's it going to take over the weekend to bring this one home?
Me versus myself. It's just me going out there, sticking to my process. I've been playing good right now and not worried about anybody else but me.
Rounding out your lead card going into round number 3 today is Kevin Jones. 11 under par total, just another stroke off the lead. Eagle always says it's me versus myself. I feel like Kevin would never want to do that. I feel like he'd only want to be competing against the other people on his card and the rest of the field. Can you attest to that?
Yeah, I feel like Kevin really feeds off his card mates. I think that players like Ricky and Eagle, they kind of stay in their own lane. Eagle doesn't really communicate with other people on the card. Kev, on the other hand, he's super chatty. And yesterday, we saw that putt on 11. You know, he's walking up to it, and Ben Callaway is like, hey, get us going. You know, start us off, Kev. And Kev's like, I got you. You know, in the moment, here is that putt on 11. Tells Ben he has him. He does. That's on the pole. After Tournament Central yesterday, Brian, I went down the street to pick up Kevin Jones at Agan's house, one of the locals he's staying with, and we made our way down to Boston for some electronic dance music right up Kev's alley. And on the way over there, you know, I'm going to let you in. Kev was telling me, he's like, man, I can't stop thinking about the win. I can't stop thinking about what it means to win, you know, and I'm trying to just focus on the golf, but I can't. And he said the one thing that does help him stay in the moment is when he's really vibing with his card mates.
It's interesting you say that. You know, I think some people would say that's a good thing. Some people would say that's a bad thing. You know, you should be able to just stay in your own lane, similar to what Eagle and Ricky are doing. But the fact of the matter is, Kevin Jones is playing fantastic golf. He's tied with these guys right here, playing his own brand of disc golf, and I think that's kind of the beauty of this whole ordeal. We have disc, we have golf. They're kind of like yin-yang in that regard, and Kevin really leans into that disc side. He's been throwing some of the most phenomenal shots that we've ever seen. I mean, the grenade that he threw yesterday on 9 was absolutely ridiculous, and he says he wants to evolve that shot even more. He says he loves being a showman, playing for the crowd, and he has a great card of players to feed off of today, that's for sure. With that said, we did talk to Kevin. Let's take a listen.
The front 9 seems really important to manage the conditions on because that's where, for me, it can get really ugly. So as long as I made it out of the front 9 even or 1 under, I'm going to be pretty happy. So that's the most important part for me. But starting off with that shot on hole 1 was awesome today.
On number 9, I have to ask you a very specific question. You threw a grenade, and not just a traditional grenade. You actually threw an understable driver and flipped it and threw a beautiful shot on 9. Talk about that side of the grenade and how it's evolved for you over time.
So there's this specific line that I'm like feeling really good with now. It's a new shot in my bag, and it's when it needs to go straight up and just ever so slightly down to the right. That is the perfect understable grenade line. So that's what I went with on that hole. It was not much room for error, but that was a huge shot for me to save par there. Oh, no changes. I'm going to try to do that solid, nice run the ball on the front 9 and then start airing it out on the back.
Well, we have another player tied for second place, top of the chase card. Ben Callaway was just 1 approach shot away from being your leader. We will talk Callaway and the other men on the chase card after the commercial break.
PDGA Event Support Helpline.
Hey, so I'm setting up the most epic event of all time, and I'm wondering, do I need insurance?
As long as the event's in the US or Canada, insurance is included with your sanctioning agreement.
Okay, awesome, because we're trying this cool new thing where we have an alligator pit on the 18th green. It's gonna be epic.
Insurance or not, I don't think having literal death putts is a good idea.
Okay, I'll consider it. Oh, no, boy, no!
Are you still there? Oh God, are you still there?
With a smooth, clean shave, every day is a clean slate. So who cares if you put all your money in crypto and called your boss an idiot? Barbasol. It's a can of can-do.
Oh man, I'm down by 2 with 2 holes to go. It's the hole 8 island. I need this birdie. I need this. Should I use my last 2 driving chips? Or should I save them for the final tee shot? Or maybe I'll just use one now. Maybe I need to save one for the next drive.
Time delay, dude. That's a courtesy violation.
That's a stroke. You're down by 3 now, potty man. What?
Welcome back. You are watching the MVP Open on the Disc Golf Network. If you are not already subscribed to DGN, you can subscribe today and use the code Tournament Central, all one word, at checkout for a free month subscription. Scan the QR code or hit the link in the YouTube description to subscribe today to watch the rest of the disc golf season live as it unfolds. United States Disc Golf Championship, Throw Pink Championship, Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, and the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship. I'm joined here by PDGA's Rebecca Duffy. Rebecca, this is going to be a huge tournament, over 300 competitors in all sorts of divisions. We're going to Burlington, North Carolina, and there's a very special award that you are giving out this week. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. The Women's Committee have come up with a fantastic award. It's called the Becky Zalik Tournament Director Award. It is based on a tournament director who actually runs these high-quality events, focuses on women's, and supports women's disc golf altogether. And that award, the Women's Committee had, put out nominations to all of our female members, came in. The Women's Committee have voted on who is going to win that, and that is going to be awarded at the USWGC, the United States Women's Disc Golf Championship Players Meeting. And it is our first award. So it's going to be exciting to see what tournament director supports and engulfs that women's disc golf.
So much disc golf up ahead, but that is not one you should miss. Brand new courses out there in Burlington, North Carolina. Rebecca, thank you. With that, we are going to catch up with our chase card leader, Ben Callaway. Let's hear what he had to say yesterday.
I had some nerves in the very beginning there. Luckily, I shook them off pretty quickly. The wind was definitely testing everybody. I haven't really looked at the scores, but from the judgments on the card, it was definitely, playing very difficult. It got me a few times, but yeah, I don't really have anything else on that. So
You had a great round going, great finish going, and then 18, casual upshot, kind of bleeds a little bit deep, OB, double bogey to finish.
Yeah.
What happened in that moment?
Well, unfortunately for me, it was a misinterpretation of the rules. I did not realize that if you cross over 18, that you had to go to the drop zone. I thought that it was if you cross the island at all, even if you go OB, I thought you could take it out from there. But that's on me. That's me not doing my due diligence as a player, the professional that I am. So, and it cost me, but now I know going forward not to do that. I'm going to go out there and attack the course, play my game as well as I can. Obviously I would like to play it on the lead card. I like to be the showman that I am and perform in front of everybody, but second card's just as good.
I definitely got all the birdies I wanted to. The 4 bogey strokes. Round 1 I had 4 bogey strokes. Today I had 4 bogey strokes. Doesn't feel great, but according to the leaderboard, it's good enough for now. Halfway through the tournament, not bad. The new hole 9, I'm 3 over on that hole. And then hole 17, I'm 3 over on that hole. 17 used to be the one that is the must get, but they changed some OB and the wind is like crossing over, which makes that turnover really awkward. Overall, putting's been feeling nice. I missed a short one on 14 today that I would have liked to have. That was a 2-stroke swing. But other than that, I'm a nice weather kind of player, so I don't usually go out when there's 25-mile-an-hour winds just for fun. So no, I think it's going to be a whole different game out there, and it's going to be interesting, Vegas style.
Well, we have to talk about the man tied for second place with the rest of the lead card, Ben Callaway. Like we said earlier, he was one approach shot away from being the sole outright leader of the tournament. And here he is, a stroke back. Nate, during the commercial break, we both said it. This round is so crucial for Ben because of what the guys ahead of him have already done.
Yeah, Ben tied for second. Everyone in front of him has already got the monkey off their back. They've all won an Elite Series event. Ben, mid-30s, has a daughter playing for the wife and the daughter back home in Iowa. Does that mean there's more weight on his shoulders, Brian? Does it mean it's harder to chase down a victory if you haven't done it before?
I feel like if we just look at what people write about in regards to sports psychology, I feel like Ben needs to give himself some cushion this round, or he at least needs to put himself in the hunt closely. Otherwise, if you haven't won before and you haven't pushed through and closed out a tournament to take down a victory like this, chasing people down from 5, 6, 7 strokes back is a very insurmountable task. It's possible, especially out here at Maple Hill, but I think today is going to be an extremely important round here for Ben Callaway. This is his opportunity to right his wrongs, to get back on 18, get himself a par, which is what he's been playing the hole for, and we'll just have to see. I think what he did yesterday, 3 under par, okay. I think a 5-6 is pretty sustainable for him. If he can just get the birdie on 5, that's another crucial moment. He has struggled on that hole, and like we had already said, it makes the tee shots of 6 and 7 so difficult when you're taking a bogey on a hole that's so short and right in front of you like that. But Ben yesterday hits this giant putt on 17. He looked like a champion. Look at this back stretch. He looked incredible. And on that final approach shot, he had a little lapse in focus and ended it on a bit of a sour note. With that said, we did talk with Ben Callaway after his round. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. Simon Lizotte is right behind Ben Callaway, a stroke off. Nate, local boy, not too happy with how he's been playing, still right in the mix. Talk about Simon.
I mean, he's in a great position, and I've been stressing this quite a bit. Can't really stress it enough. You said it. The wind is really like the putting green in golf. That is the biggest factor that we have in what determines the difficulty of the course. And Simon, one of the cleanest throwers in the game, of course, he's got the speed, but he knows exactly how to control those nose angles. He knows how to throw flat into the wind. He knows how to fight it, and he has as much experience on this specific property as anybody. And he also knows how to come from behind. I mean, if you recall, last year, he shoots a 2 over par in the opening round, and then goes on to win at a staggering 16 under for the 3-round tournament here at Maple. So when the going gets tough here, Simon knows how to close. He knows how to chase people down, and he's on that chase card. Pressure's off a bit, but I think the gallery's they're gonna have a really tough time deciding where to go. I mean, you've got a stacked card at around every corner. I mean, Eagle, Calvin, Ricky, Kev over there on the top, and then you've got to. Do you want to go watch Simon Lizotte and a couple of guys that we don't usually see, Luke Taylor, Evan Smith? You want to root on the Cinderella story and Ben Callaway? I mean, I don't know where I'm going to watch today.
Well, you know what, Nate? I'm going to go post up, if I was a spectator, right on the green of hole 6, looking back at the tee of hole number 7. And speaking of hole number 7, it has been giving players a tough time. New position. I personally love the change. Nate, talk about it.
Well, they moved the tee pad back. We're flying over the old tee pad now, so the gap is a little later in the flight. Used to be right off the tee, but you have to shape something early. Most players are punching something out on hyzer that is slightly understable. You're just trying to ride up this road. It's such an easy hole to bogey. You see 4th hardest hole on the course. It's only 400 feet, but if you hit early, the scrambling gets so tough. They've moved the pin a little closer, Brian, and you can actually see it sitting atop that hill. Most people are carding the birdie from circle's edge left. Love the change as well here on 7.
Oh, I absolutely love the new pin position here because of the fact that the old basket placement was about 35, 40 feet back. Those trees were blocking so many good shots that literally pured the entire corridor and then kicked it way off to the right into absolute nothingness. It didn't feel fair, and now that the basket is in the middle of those trees, it feels like you can actually pure the shot and give yourself a very satisfying look for birdie. With that, we have MPO action going off now. Round number 3, moving day of the MVP Open is about to begin for our feature cards. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins. It's going to be a windy day out there, folks. Strap in. Let's get going.
Whether I'm on the course or behind the camera, there's one thing driving me forward: the shot. The shot that no one else thinks about or would even dare to try. The shot that people will remember, that tells a story. For me, that's what disc golf's all about. Introducing the time lapse, the first 12-speed featuring gyro overmold technology, and the first disc in the Simon line. Coming soon.
A round of disc golf can be long, and if you're playing in a tournament, it can feel like a marathon. This can leave you physically and mentally fatigued by the end when your shots matter most. With space for your discs, water, and even a place to sit, a cart enables you to bring what you need, helping you feel more prepared and energized without carrying the extra weight. This can help you maintain your edge and save you strokes through every round.
Feeling great starts with a great shave. Today, the world is in the palm of your hand. Or at least this can is. For over 100 years, Barbasol, it's a can of can-do.